Rimon, how are you?
I'm great. I'm feeling so good. How are you?
I'm really great too. And I have the feeling that you're kind of in your city here, Paris. It's like your new home.
My new place. Yeah, it's true. I've been here a lot. I think I was looking at my calendar and I've been here every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. And sometimes like last week I was here.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks before that I was also here. So yeah.
What's happening?
I don't know. It's just like pulling me like inside the city. I think it's French. My French audience has just grown a lot, I think. And outside of that, I'm very like into fashion. So Fashion Week, of course, you know.
Yeah, so Paris is kind of linked to fashion.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
So yeah, I've just been here a lot,
Okay.
and I really love it.
Okay.
So I see myself coming here back.
You're here because you released an album, your first album,
My first.
Children of the Night. We're going to talk about it, of course, but I mean, I think it will be interesting for people also to know a little bit about your story.
Mm-hmm.
Because you sing in English, but you're from Netherlands.
Yes.
And I mean, your name has kind of been like buzzing since 2009, maybe 2019. Sorry, not 2009. You're not that old, of course.
I was like, huh?
And because you did some colors and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure some of the French audience knows you, of course, since a long time, but I'm sure some people may have discovered you with the Justice collaboration or the Dinos collaboration we just got released. But you've been doing music since a long time. When did you really discover music and your passion for music? Because you came in Netherlands when you were a child. You were born in Eritrea. What was your link with music when you were a child?
I think for me, I didn't really grow up in a very musical family.
Okay.
But I was very attracted.
Your mom was not really listening to music?
Not really. Like, she would listen to a lot of Eritrean music. But she didn't really... I don't have really clear memories of music in my household. But I was really big on entertaining. Like, that was my thing. From a child, I was just entertaining people. So singing kind of naturally came with that. I was like, okay, how can I make people smile? And for me, it was like either I would come up with these comedy skits and perform them in front of the family. And
also, you just wanted to be on the stage, maybe.
That was it. Dancing, singing, everything. And I think when I was like becoming a teenager, that's when my connection to music really like solidified, because I realized like how many emotions I could feel, feel through music, through other people's music. Yeah. And I remember like listening, you know, that whole era of like Frank Ocean.
Do I know this? The best era.
Like almost 14 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. When Channel Orange and Novocaine before that. Yeah.
Yes, that whole era. And then The Weeknd was there. Yeah. Lana Del Rey.
When we didn't know if The Weeknd was a man or woman or a band.
Yeah. Exactly. So that era for me was like, wow, there was so many like powerful, deep music. Yeah. And I felt so connected to it. I was like, oh my God, I like this.
Okay. So these are the artists that was maybe your first influences, like these people, Frank Ocean?
Yeah, Frank Ocean, Kendrick. A lot of those like more that were just starting, you know, they're kind of underground. And I just enjoyed also being online a lot. So I was like on Tumblr, Twitter.
This era, 2010, 2011.
Yeah, I was really like an internet child. So I would also kind of like find my people that would also listen to that type of music. And
when did you understand that you had a voice and you could do that?
When? That's a good question. I always knew I enjoyed it. So I had a piano in the house. I was always like writing songs and making music, but I didn't take it really serious. Because at the time I thought music was only for the elitists.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah.
I felt like there's no way I'm gonna make it. Because there's like, you know, you have these crazy stories where a label A&R or the president of a label is in a bar and all of a sudden this person is singing and they signed them on the spot. So I was like, I live in a village in the Netherlands. That's not gonna happen in my life. But I still enjoyed it. And I think when I was 17, 18, my mind changed. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. The industry is changing. I know I can sing. I know I can write songs. And there was a book that I read called The Alchemist by
Paulo Coelho.
Yeah. And that changed my life. And
oh, really? That was this book?
It was this book, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Well, it's funny because this book is so important for so many people.
So many people.
It was like a game-changing experience.
Yeah. For me, it was life-changing. Yeah.
Okay. You said you lived in a village because you didn't live in Amsterdam. You lived in 30 minutes away village from Amsterdam. I think also you also worked and gravitate in the underground Amsterdam scene. Can you tell us more about that, because we don't know that here? And what were the connections maybe who made you more self-confident?
I was outside a lot.
Okay.
You know?
So you went to Amsterdam just to party or to meet people?
Yeah, meet people, party a lot, hang out on literally like squares and just like a bunch of kids, you know, skaters, and just sitting there and just hating school, hating life, and just sitting, you know, just being teenagers.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I met a lot of people in that time that were like-minded like me, because where I'm from, like the village, it's very white, it's very small.
Yeah. And you're one of the only black people.
Yeah, literally. So for me, it was like seeing that community in Amsterdam. I was like, wow, finally I found my people. Yeah. And one of those people that I met at the time was a friend of mine that introduced me. She was kind of the same like me. She was very crazy, like partying all the time. And she said, listen, you need to make music. And I was like, yeah, you know, still a bit shy about it. But she really instilled that confidence in me, where she was like, listen, I know you can do it. And then she introduced me at the time to a friend of hers who produced music. And she literally dragged me there. Okay. She's like, you guys, she heard a beat.
Yeah.
She's like, you would sound good on it. And I came there, I got there, and that's how I recorded my first things.
Was it in English since the beginning?
In English, yeah.
Okay, why? Did you always speak English, or is it something that you learned?
I always say like Nickelodeon has raised me.
Okay.
MTV and Nickelodeon, because in the Netherlands it's different than France. Because here it's like we have subtitles.
Yeah. Here we have French everything. Everywhere.
Everything's French,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Which is good, but
which is also why we speak English like me. You know, we have a bad accent.
You actually are good in English.
I'm one of the good ones. So you know, but we don't have exactly this culture, and everything is in French. Yeah.
So that helped a lot. So my English was always really good. And I don't know, I just never see myself singing Dutch. Like it just...
Oh, yeah, really?
No.
Okay.
It's not my thing.
Also, you have the vision of being more international?
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew from like the moment I started, I was like, okay, how can I independently reach as many people as possible? And at that time, when I just started, there wasn't a lot of references for that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I just need to... You know, Dutch wasn't an option because you have a ceiling. Like in France, I feel like there's a lot you can still do, even though you make French music. It still travels. French music still travels. I feel like Dutch is a little bit more
harder.
Yeah. So I never even thought about it. For me, it was really easy.
Okay, it was
like,
natural. I'm asking that because in France, like it's very rare to have like French artists singing in English. You have some, of course, but it's really a decision that you make. Okay, I want to sing in English. Like even like our biggest stars sing in French, you know. So it's different, but I understand, because also it's one of your almost natural language, English, which is not the case here. So.
And also writing. I used to always write in English, like poems as a child.
Okay.
I just had more connection to that language. And also Dutch is very harsh. And maybe it sounds too close because it's your language. So when you write, it just feels so direct. And I think English for me was good because it felt a little bit less like in your face, you know?
I get it, yeah.
But
At what age, did you arrive in Netherlands?
The Netherlands specifically, I think I was 4.
Okay. So you don't have memories when you were a child in Eritrea?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I left when I was 1 year old.
Okay, yeah.
So no memories.
Yeah, of course. You say that your mother listened to some Eritrean music and stuff like that. Did you grow up in this like culture, or was it maybe harder for you? Because also when you're young, sometimes you want to you don't want to embrace the culture of your parents, and especially when you go in another country, you want to also maybe look like the other child, and you want to, being integrated. Did you still have this culture when you were a child, or was it difficult?
Oh, it's interesting. Like because in the beginning, I really embraced my culture because that's all I knew. You know, I came from Eritrea, and we were also surrounded by a lot of Eritreans in the beginning. Later, I just started to rebel, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't want this. And then everything that my mom did, actually quite sad, but everything that my mom liked or wanted me to do, I did the opposite, So I remember not being as connected to the culture at all, actually. And later in life, when I started to like kind of ask questions, go back to like, okay, but where am I from? All these things. That's when my interest grew again. And I was like, wow, it's such a beautiful culture, and you start to appreciate it. But when you're 16, you're like, miss me with it. I'm good.
But I think that you traveled to Ethiopia at 17. Or was it for you? Like, was it like an important travel? Did you learn stuff over there?
Yeah.
Did it change something?
Yeah. So that trip for me is as life-changing because that's also where I read the book. So I dropped out of school when I was like 17. I was like, nah, school is not for me.
That's a strong decision to do that at 17.
Yeah.
What did your mother say?
Oh, my mom was so, when I think about it, she was so disappointed.
Yeah.
So disappointed in me because I was a very smart kid. So I could easily do school. But I just didn't have interest in it.
You wanted to be in the squares with your friends and hating life.
I just wanted to chill, listen to Frank Ocean. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, I just didn't want to do it. And I felt a very strong urge to stop. And so I stopped, even though it wasn't even allowed at the time because you need to go to school until 18. But I finessed my way. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? I have no money. I have nothing. So I was like, okay, that was the year for me to kind of rediscover myself. And I started asking questions. And one of them was like my father, who I've never met at the time. So I was like very early on, I was like, okay, I need to go back. I need to go back to Ethiopia. I need to see my father.
You felt that, yeah.
I felt like I had a mission that year. So there was a few things that I did that year specifically, but the Ethiopia trip was one of them of like, okay, I need to do this. And I went to Addis Ababa. And I met my dad there for the first time.
Wow.
And
must be something.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I spent like 4 weeks with him. And we were doing like a road trip. And I had the book, The Alchemist, on me. And
wow.
Yeah, life-changing. I had one album on that trip that I downloaded. Was just one album. And it was Joey Badass.
1999?
Before the Money.
Oh,
the
yeah.
one afterwards. Yeah. So I don't. Even if I think about it, it was just like such a special trip, and that's where I realized, like, okay, if I come back from Ethiopia, I'm going to do music.
You released the song "Grace" in 2018, and I have the feeling that it was maybe the first. It was almost like an instant success, maybe not a big success at the time, but people talked about you, and I have the feeling that you had some, a lot of anticipation around you since the beginning. How is it to cope with that when you're that young?
It's funny that you asked this because I had this conversation this week with my management about it. I think looking back, it was a lot, because I was just like 21, just starting music, and I was very naive. So for me, I just loved making music. I didn't understand the industry. I had no idea. I love making music, so I'm just gonna do it, I put that song on DistroKid ourselves, very low-key, and it just started getting streams and streams and streams, and everybody was like talking about it, and then...
Who is this girl?
Who is this girl? And I just felt very overwhelmed at the time. And also, like, in Holland, like, the media there was like, the newest pop star of the world, this. Because there weren't that many artists at the time from Holland that were doing English music. Literally none. Or like one, maybe, So I felt a lot of pressure. But at the same time, now looking back, I'm like, it was too much because I still had to understand this industry. I still had to understand myself. So for people to put me on like a pedestal like crazy, for me was, it was difficult. It was difficult. And especially as I was like still figuring out my sound as well.
Yeah, exactly. What you want to do.
Yeah. So Grace is a very specific sound. I don't really make that type of music anymore, you know? And I think maybe people started to have expectations or...
And it must be hard to be compared to other people because that's how the industry works, you know. Oh, she's the next
this or
he will
that.
be the next Kendrick, he will be the next Drake. It must be hard when you're young and you don't even know what you want to do because you just want to do lots of stuff, you know.
Yeah, you just want to have fun.
Yeah,
that was my thing. Like I really had fun and I still have fun making music. But at the time I was like, I didn't think about branding.
Yeah.
I didn't think about, oh, this is how you need to package yourself because that's the easy way for people to understand who you are, you know? And I just thought, oh, I like this beat. I wrote a song on it. I'm going to release it, you know? And so it was difficult because I was still trying to figure out. I feel like now I kind of came to a point where I understand my sound now, you know? But at the time, and people ask me a lot of times like, oh, but why don't you make another song like this or that vibe? And I was like, I was just still growing up and figuring it out, you know? But I'm still very proud of all the songs that I've made because it did lead me to where I am now. And
How did you cope with the pandemic? Because you just started your career and people were talking about you.
Yeah.
And then we had the pandemic. Everybody has that, of course. But when you're at the beginning of your career, it must be hard. Was it a time when you, maybe started to doubt or to, when was it for you?
For me, it was double because it sounds so crazy, but I was so happy for a moment when the pandemic came because I was like, I'm free. Because I was like in a roller coaster. Like every day we were traveling so much, we were doing so much, and I was not prepared for any of it. So when the pandemic came, I was like, oh, I can breathe, you know, because the whole world stopped. It's not just my world, you know.
You don't have to feel guilty if you stop.
Yes, and the pandemic on a personal level helped me a lot because I was able to spend time again with my family. And, you know, my mom also felt like, girl, where have you been, you know? And I just, on a personal level, it helped me a lot. On, like, music level, it sucked, of course. I was like, yo, I just started. I just announced my tour. Like, how are we going to do it? And just had my EP out.
Yeah.
And the EP was really doing a lot of, like, you know, things. So I was like, I cannot even go out and promote it.
Yeah.
So it was difficult and we had to be creative about it. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people had to go through that and it allowed me to like reflect, you know, and kind of sit still and understand like, okay, what's next, you know?
Yeah. When you say that you had to be creative, do you mean like you had to be also more present maybe on socials and stuff like that? And can it be hard for an artist to just have to create content when you just want maybe to do music, you know? And you have to be on TikTok and you have to...
Now?
Yeah, in your life, like, I mean, maybe you can lose your focus and do other stuff than just focusing on your music.
On my music, yeah. I mean, first of all, nobody can tell me what to do.
Okay.
So that's like, I'm very stubborn. So I remember my manager in COVID being like, you should go on TikTok. And I was like, no, you know, just because I didn't feel like it. And if I don't feel like it, I'm not gonna do it. But nowadays, I'm like, it's hard because there's so many facets about this industry now.
Yeah.
Where before people just spent so much time in the studio, now you have to capture the studio. You have to make TikToks after. You have to make content. You have to be engaging with fans constantly because there's a very saturated market right now, you know?
Yeah.
I struggle with it sometimes.
Yeah, or you have to reach the level of Frank Ocean and you just have to do nothing.
Yeah, but I don't think that works. Does that work now anymore?
But maybe when you are at a certain level, maybe, I mean, Frank Ocean doesn't have to say anything, it will work. I mean,
yeah, but
if he's releasing an album tomorrow, it will be an event and we are going to listen to it.
Yeah, true. But I've had this discussion a lot and I think that that era of artists.
Who do nothing, who don't do interviews, stuff like that. It's over.
It's like they became so big in a certain era, and they're still this icon status. You know, they can. How do you say that? They are allowed to do so. You know, they have the privilege in a way to like be like, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to perform. I don't want to do that. And people will still hold them so highly. And
you think it's the end of the icons? Like that?
No, not like end of icons, but I think that whole going away for 5 years is not going to cut it anymore for the current artists. That's what I think. I think right now there's so much like, there's so many impressions that you kind of have to be on top of people's minds. I don't think people can just leave for 5 years. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's sad. You should be allowed to live if you need that.
Yeah, I mean, I did it. You know, I took a break. Some people might think like, why would you do that? You know, but I did it, so I'm still here. But it's I don't know. I just a different world now.
Yeah,
it's a different
we have more information and a lot of artists. Like you say, market can be saturated. You have new artists coming up every time.
Attention span. You know, I don't want to be that person that says that, but you know, it's
but that's
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was not better before, but no, it's just that things change.
Things changed, and I'm curious to see how that works, because I believe, like for me, the type of artist that I am, I would love to take a break.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to just hide for 5 years and then come back with another
concept. And,
But I also I saw a very good interview of Russ about this, where he talks about this, and he's like, you cannot do that anymore, you know, and it would also be a disservice to your own music.
Yeah, and your own art.
Yeah, because you're not watering it in this current like industry, you know, and you're just gonna leave it to die then, and that's it's sad. It's bittersweet, but
I get it. You released 3 EPs before the album. What difference do you make between the EP and album? Well, did the EPs were just here for just building your identity before the album, which is like the main piece of art?
The first 2 EPs, for instance, they were made in a way where I made a lot of music. I look back at what I made, and then I see a story, and I just put it together, you know? But the music was already made. Then my third EP is the first time I went in it with an intention. I was like, this is the concept, and I'm gonna write about this. So you had the concept before?
Yeah.
And I think the way I approach this album is the same, you know? I had a concept in mind, and that was my base, and that's how I started writing. Only the difference now is like an album is way bigger, you know? So I just was really overthinking it, like a lot, you know? And maybe also because it's my first album.
You think a lot about your music.
Yeah.
I have the feeling that you think a lot, and you... No, it's not a bad thing.
I think a lot. I guess. Yeah, I do. I do. But I think it's also needs feeling, of course. But for me, it also needs to... The dots need to be connected in a way.
Yeah, you have to tell a story.
Yeah.
Why did you call this album Children of the Night?
So it's a funny story, because I knew the album title already like 6 years ago.
Okay.
So I always said my first album is going to be called Children of the Night. I made a song at the time, and in the chorus it says Children of the Night. The song never made it, but that sentence just captivated me.
Yeah, you liked what it meant.
And for the album, for me, Children of the Night are the kids that just really do whatever they want to do. So as a child, like you're supposed
That's to... you.
Yeah.
You left school at...
Yeah, basically. It's like, as a child, you have children,
Yeah,
right?
I have a daughter.
Yeah, you have a daughter. So you tell her what time she has to go to bed, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And for me, like, Children of the Night, they are the ones that are sneaky, like, up and just staring at the ceiling, or that just don't necessarily listen. And it's also, yeah, I really deeply feel connected to that because I am that, you know.
Is it also something about like keeping your child spirit when you grew up?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a very big issue with like aging, for instance.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't want to get old?
I want to get old, of course, but I'm like the idea.
Yeah, you want to live, but you don't want to be an old person, maybe?
Yeah, I don't mind like, let's say, wrinkles or any of that. It's more spirit.
Okay.
I find sometimes older people, they're like, oh, they're just tired of life, you know? They're like, I'm done with it. Yeah. Pack it up. And I'm like, no, I would never want to lose that spirit, you know?
And being curious. I mean, that's maybe one of the most important thing, I think, you know, like just not losing that.
Yeah. And not do things just because that's what you're supposed to do at a certain age, you know? The idea of following a certain set route has always scared me.
For this album, how did you work on it sonically? Like, because I think so, but correct me if I'm wrong, that in the beginning of your career, you work with like one producer.
Yeah.
And not for this album. When I think also, I saw in the credits like Paco del Rosso, someone that I know. So you worked with different people for this album. How was it, and why did you want to just have all these people creating this music for you?
So from the sonic point of view, I was so used to like working with one person. His name is Samuel Kareem. He produced my first song, Grace, up until like even he also worked on this album. But for me, I was looking for an edge, some sort of edge. And it's funny that you mentioned Paco, because Paco has also co-produced the entire album, and he brought that edge that I was looking for, because he's like this, we call him like the scientist, you know? He comes with his crazy synth and like crazy sounds, and that's exactly what I wanted, because I didn't want the album to be a classic commercial R&B album. I know a lot of people put me in the R&B box, which I don't mind. And how I started the sessions with the producers, like I want to make something progressive. So take R&B, but try to push it a bit further. And like that comes from a place of, I listen to a lot of like artists, rappers actually, like Kendrick, like I mentioned, but also Kanye and Tyler, the Creator. So these are all people, they're all hip hop artists, they're all rappers, but they added some crazy things to their albums that pushes the genre further.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I wanted, and that's what I said to everybody. I was like, okay, I wanted R&B, but slightly different. So there needs to be some sort of outro. It doesn't. That was also a thing. I didn't want it to sound too sweet, you know. So I was like, it needs to have some sort of like edge there. And we did sessions in all over the world, and we started with like these jam sessions. So there's like 20 people in the house in the Airbnb, and we were just jamming. And then from those big jam sessions, we kind of like, it became smaller, and then we had like I called them my album family, and it was like a few people that ended up doing the entire album with me. It's
funny that you mention rappers, because like the song "Make Money," it's not a rap song like you're singing, but like it's a rapper way of flexing, just we make money and life will be good. Like for me it's a feel good song, you know? But the purpose is not really what we listen when we listen to R&B. It's more a rap chorus, you know?
Yeah, hip hop music has definitely raised me. That's like the concerts I've gone to as a teenager. I was always in the mosh pit, you know, stuff like that. I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I think it's definitely a big inspiration.
Who was the most impressive artist that you saw on stage?
Ooh.
If there is one.
On stage, I would have to say, I'm going to say his name again, but Kendrick is one.
Yeah, great,
but also, I will never forget the concert I went to from Schoolboy Q when he was doing his Oxymoron tour. And it was a very small venue. And yeah, that was
in
crazy.
Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, yeah.
Okay.
Like the energy in that room was just crazy. Do you know Flatbush Zombies?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they also had a sick, crazy stage presence.
When we started this discussion, I mentioned France, and you did 2 tracks this year with some French people. One on a very important album, the Justice one. I had the opportunity to discuss the album with them earlier in the year. And yeah, you did a great tracks with them. And I think I saw in an interview that when you did the track, you didn't really realize that it was Justice. You were in a mood like very chill.
Nonchalant about it.
And yeah, which is great. But yeah, can you tell us, is it true? And can you tell us more about this collaboration? How did it happen?
It all started because of Pedro. From
the one and only.
Yeah, Pedro from Ed Banger. He listened to my music. And then, I don't know how it happened, but I think Justice had a song. They had a production already. And they were looking for vocals.
Okay.
And Pedro was the person that said, like, listen, this girl, her vocals would work on this song.
He had the vision.
Yeah, he had the vision and he orchestrated it. And yeah, I was in Paris for Fashion Week and they set up the session. And I was like, okay, cool. Okay. Let's do it.
Did you listen to Justice before that or not really?
I know their songs, of course. Yeah. Everybody. Even people that say, no, I don't know Justice.
Yeah, you know
and you play it, they know it. Yeah. But I wasn't completely aware of their impact.
Okay.
I just knew they were big. But
yeah, it's funny because I think the first album was 2007, I guess, and even now, even when they don't have like a massive hit, it's still important. Like it's still an event. The Justice album is still an event, and everybody's looking at it. So I mean, it's something to just appear on an album like that. Like everybody will see you.
Yeah,
you know, it's still something in the music industry. And you also appeared on Kintsugi, the last Dinos album.
Yes.
How did it happen? Did you listen to him? And did you know a little bit about French rap? Like, is it something which is popular in Netherlands? I think that some French rap artists are a little bit popular over there, but I don't know because we are sometimes some rappers are like, I'm very popular in Netherlands or in Germany, but we don't really know if it's true.
Yeah.
So is it really true?
It is, but, yeah. People listen to French rap, 100%, but not everybody.
Yeah,
but you have like my best friend, for instance, he's like fully French rap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fully.
More than American rap? Or?
More, yeah.
Okay,
some people are just really, and some people are like fully UK rap, you know? And I wasn't, to be honest, I listened through a lot of French music through my best friends, but it's not something that I looked up myself that much. And Dinos is someone that I met, I think like 5 years ago at a Dour festival.
Oh, okay, in Belgium, yeah.
In Belgium, and he was performing and I was performing as well. And that's how we connected. And we always stayed in touch. He's always been a very like supportive person. He came to like 2 of my shows, just supporting, you know? And I don't know, sometimes you meet people that are so genuine, you know, in their support, especially in this industry. I always like felt very like embraced by him. So it only felt right, I guess.
Okay.
I asked him for my music video, Cities Burning,
Because he's in it.
He's in there. But he wasn't on my album, and then he was making his album, and he had this idea, and he literally just, I think he texted me, he's like, listen, I want you on this song, let's make it happen, and it happened, and I did it,
On your album, the first sentence is, I'm on a mission. What is your mission?
What is my mission? What a good question. My mission with the album and in life general is for people to feel empowered enough to be like, you know what? I actually don't like this job. Fuck. I don't know if I can curse here, but
you can.
Fuck it. You know, I'm just gonna quit and I'm gonna look for something else that I want to do, or someone that feels motivated to all of a sudden travel if they have the means, of course, you know. That's my mission, for people to stop following like the guidelines or
you want everybody to be a child of the night.
Yeah, that is my mission. Yeah. And to just, we get so influenced also by our expectations of the expectations that people have of us, you know. And I think so many people get caught up living a life that they might not even want to live. That's a shame, you know, to me.
Yeah.
So that's my mission.
Yeah, that's also what you said earlier, like you don't want to have regrets.
Yeah.
It's really something that's on your mind, like you just want to live your life to the fullest and you don't want to miss something, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I think I learned that you have a dream of creating a restaurant with your mother.
How do you know that?
I just worked. That's it, really. It's not that
That's
hard
good.
to find. But yeah, is it
Wow.
like something that you also maybe after the music or during the music is something you want to do?
Yeah.
And maybe also it's a way to not reconnect with her, because I don't know your relationship, but you know, you told me she was disappointed when you left everything for music. Now music is working for you. So is it also a way to have like a common project with her maybe one day?
Yeah, for me, that's also what I talk about on Make Money, but I'm very big on making sure that my family's good, you know? And like my mom is someone that has like sacrificed her entire life for me, you know? And she also had dreams. She recently told me she also low-key wanted to become a singer. I was like, what?
Yeah, you didn't
Never
know that?
knew, never knew. And it kind of like broke my heart a little bit of like, damn, she has done so much and poured so much into me and my sisters and put herself on the side. So it almost feels like an obligation in a good way for me to come with some sort of opportunity or something that she can like fully thrive in and that is hers, you know? And she's still young, in my opinion. You know, she has still a whole life ahead of her. She's a very... I made her a TikTok account and she's going completely viral on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, my mom was like, if you think like I'm the artist, no. My mom is like the main character of everybody. And I just really want her to live that renaissance in her life and be like an entrepreneur and just able to.
And you know that she has that in her.
Yes, and I would love for her to just live that, you know, and just live something for her. So yeah, the restaurant is a big dream of mine. Yeah, soon.
I hope so. Maybe last question for the people who didn't listen to the album yet, which is a mistake. What is your favorite track of the album and why? What is your favorite baby?
It changes. What's your favorite?
Like, I really love Make Money, but it's an obvious one. You know, you have the video, but I really like the vibe of the track, but City's Burning is great.
Yeah.
It will be maybe between these two.
Okay.
Yeah, but I really love Make Money because, it's a rap track actually. So yeah.
I hear it. Yeah. No, for me it changes every week, every 2 weeks.
So. Now.
Right now, ever since the album dropped, it's Nocturnal with Beam.
Okay, yeah.
Because maybe I just feel really happy. And that's like the more up-tempo song of the album. So it just matches my energy at the moment where I'm like, I'm just like more in like a high energy vibe now.
Okay.
But Nocturnal.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for the amazing questions.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. Thank you for your
me.
time. And it's your city now, you know. You come here whenever you want.
Yes, you'll see me in Paris soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci d'avoir regardé la vidéo. Si tu veux en savoir plus sur la rap musique, n'hésite pas à t'abonner à Apple Music. Tous les vendredis, un nouvel épisode du Code Radio. La playlist est régulièrement mise à jour également. Et nous, on se retrouve très très bientôt avec un ou une nouvelle invitée.